All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Trevor Cook. I'm with Dotson Cook. And today we are doing TOTEtalk with Chandra Putnam from Integra. And I would like say hello, Chandra. I guess that's the first thing we should do, right? Is how are you?
Hello, Trevor. It's so nice to see you.
You too. Thanks for joining us on this call. And you are in sunny Arizona right now, right? Out on the West
I
Coast.
am. That's what,
So I know it's
yep, I
3
call it,
hours
well,
earlier for
sorta.
you. Yeah.
West,
Okay.
not quite the coast.
No,
We
true. Not
skipped the
quite.
ocean, right?
Right. Right. Well, so today we wanted to talk about cleanability and field replaceable components. I think these are big issues that are affecting us, especially with COVID and just in general with harsher cleaners and chemicals out there. So before we get into that discussion, though, can you please tell me a little about your background, the education, your family, the business that you're in?
Yeah. Okay. So, well, my dad started the company almost 40 years ago, about 39 years ago, and he and my stepmom, Dina, have been running the company since then. And gosh, I hate to say this, but probably 20, it's been almost 20, not quite 20 years ago, about 18 years ago, my sister and I joined the company. But my background before that was after about 4 years after college, I wanted to get into sales and marketing, and I called my dad and said, I've been on interviews, they're not hiring me because I don't have experience, and so he said, well, let me talk to the reps. So I actually moved back. So I went to Arizona State, moved back to the Midwest, and worked for the Chicago reps, but my territory was Wisconsin, so I had my station wagon full of furniture driving around, and so I was actually a sub rep at that point, and so about 4 years after that, I really missed Arizona. I missed my college friends. And so I moved back here. But what I loved about what I did most was calling on the end users and talking to them about their issues and things like that. So we started a little office furniture dealership here in Phoenix. And my sister at that time had 3 years of interior design school. So she had a nice background with interior design. And so we started a little dealership, and we didn't become huge or take over the world, but we learned a lot. And about 9 years after that, my dad and Dina said, hey, can you guys, we'd love to have you guys more involved with Integra. So then we went and were kind of transitioned out of the dealership and then went full time with Integra. So I've got a nice education of different facets and different parts of the industry, which I think help, just kind of understanding what everybody's doing.
Calling on end users as well as designers, and then now transferring into the manufacturing side and seeing kind of behind on the manufacturing. So tell us about that transition when you jumped over into the Integra world then.
Well, what was good about it is that this is a family-owned company, and I didn't work for my dad when I got out of college, right? And so that was the best part of it. And I mean, not that I love my dad, and we work well together, but I think working outside with other people, having other bosses, and then being your own boss, and just getting getting your education, your not school education, but your life education away from a family is actually a little bit better. But anyway, so that's my story. And then my sister and I were involved, and then my brother joined. Oh gosh, it's probably been 8 or 9 years now. So we all have different strengths. It is a total blessing to be able to work with my family every day. And we butt heads sometimes, but for the most part, we do really well. So it's really
that's
good.
Awesome. Nice. Mm-hmm. Nice. So, and I guess that's why I asked you to be part of this conversation too, is because you've seen kind of the whole gamut, the spectrum, right? You've been on the out running around talking with designers and dealers, and telling about the products and the services that other manufacturers make, and now you're on the manufacturing side. So you're seeing the internal struggles of, let's stay forefront and front of mind. Let's make sure that our products are, what the clientele need. And so I guess that's what brings us to our discussion point today is field replaceable components, cleanability, these issues that we're seeing. Can you tell us what you see or what you're hearing or what you're designing for and building for?
Yeah, sure. I mean, COVID has hit everybody hard, and for different reasons and things, but it's been a challenging time this last year, and it's coming, we're still in it. So, I've heard a few people say that, it's like, let's not waste this opportunity. Let's not waste this opportunity for change, and to not go back to normal or a new normal, but let's make it a better normal. So these aren't my words. I've been kind of diving into just industry webinars and stuff, just to get a better feel for, you kind of get stuck in your own lane and you want to see what else is going on. So I've really been spending time and listening to different webinars and industry ones, our industry. And so there's been really good ones for BIFMA. I got to give a shout out to BIFMA that has put on some really great webinars lately. And so that's kind of where, the better normal, let's get to a better normal from this and not waste these, the opportunity, because people, we obviously acknowledge that things need to change. And that means there's so many facets to that. So I'm just going to peel it back to one little layer here about, specifying furniture and, how we build our furniture and things, because that's what I know. But so the BIFMA, what I liked about the BIFMA webinars so far is that there's 4 panelists. They're highly accomplished people and, professionals in our industry. And the first one was workplace. The second one was, focused on workplace. The second one was focused on education. The third one was focused on healthcare. The fourth one hasn't been done yet, but it's going to be focused on hospitality. So it was interesting to me how much crossover. It's a lot of the same. And I think that's part of the pandemic, but, I think you can also learn a lot from these different industries or vertical markets, I should say. And there's a lot that can just be crossed over and moving forward, learn from each other. And so I would say that the 3 things that I kind of grabbed onto, and the main points that I want to highlight, and there was more of them, there's lots more that they talked about, is, of course, sustainability is still really important. And that's good. Of course, we want to all be more sustainable in all the ways that we can, but there's been more focus on safety. So the word safety is used a lot, but to me, safety's got 2 different components to it. Hygiene and disinfecting of products, sanitizing of fabrics, and then separation of the people that are in an area. So, and again, I want to make sure people understand I'm talking more, it's kind of broad based, but my focus is the public areas, the lounge seating, things like that, waiting areas. And so that's kind of where my head is.
Back of the house and actually operating spaces and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. And 100 desks and, things like that. So, so that's kind of where my mind is when I talk about this stuff. But, and then the second component of safety, I think, is the product safety. So, how strong is it? What are the weight capacities if somebody really plops down this chair, and the dimensions of the product? So, what's the seat height? Is it comfortable for somebody, or is it too low, they can't get out, or they fell into it or something, and the arm heights, things like that. That's again, safety. And then the other word that I heard a few times from these people, and I do have, hopefully we'll put up I want to give a shout out to all the panelists that were on this. So I put that on a sheet so everybody can see where kind of this information was coming from. The longevity of the product. And I was very happy to hear that, because we make a product that is made to be there a long time. And so right there, it's inherently sustainable. So if something's supposed to be there 20 to 30 years versus 1 to 5, that's kind of a no-brainer on which one's more sustainable. So so the word longevity has been used over and over in these, and that is very vital. And then also flexibility. And that to me is a little harder to kind of put your finger on, but I think what I was thinking, okay, they want the facilities to be more flexible. They want to give control to the users or the patient or the student to be able to control their own environment. Okay, I want to work in this way today, or I want to separate today, or today I want to be more with my family or whoever's around, my friends, if it's a student application. So more control over the spaces that they're in.
So
And
moving
that was
that
mentioned in,
in
yeah, that's kind of how I took it. And I'll dive a little bit deeper into those, but that's kind of how I, extrapolated that, flexibility. Yeah. Making it movable, giving different choices, even in the seating. Like,
right.
is this sit you upright more? Does it kick you back? Because now I want to just lounge and maybe close my eyes and go to sleep, or give me a work platform so I can work on or just read a book or put my coffee down or whatever. So anyway,
Well,
those are kind of the three big ones that I took from all these webinars and such.
Well, I think that's very interesting too. Yeah, because I agree with you. And the safety, I didn't think about safety in that two-prong approach like you were saying there, with one is, obviously the cleanability and the hygiene and disinfecting what could be on that furniture, and how hard or easy that could be. And then two,
Hmm.
the second part of the safety is, no offense, and many of my friends and followers and clients and stuff will attest to this. I say it all the time because I've got four big boys at home, and they break
I know, I
more
love this story.
furniture. And your dad knows this as well as you do, and everybody else now
Trevor,
will
we'll
know.
give you some free sofas. We'll
Yeah,
just send them to
I
you.
always said that to your
You'll
dad. I'm like,
your family will be our drop test.
I am your best drop test, because I mean, Mike, we are big people and we slam down on furniture and it doesn't stand a chance in my house. So I
Oh,
love
that
hearing
is
that
so
too. And then
funny.
obviously that plays into longevity. And it's like, if I'm buying
Yeah,
furniture every 2 years, what's the point? I mean, let's get something in there
I
that
know.
can last for a while, and we can reupholster it or recover it, and refresh it, and it's still the same piece in there. So then
Right.
I guess I'm
Well,
kind
and
of
you haven't used all the raw resources, all the raw materials to build another one. I
yeah.
mean, that's the thing.
Right.
It's two components to that. So first of all, if something breaks, you're going to throw it into the landfill, because if you don't fix it, or if it's not
Ooh.
fixable,
Yeah, you
you're going to
trash
throw it
it.
away. You're not going to donate it or recycle it. So then
Right.
and now you need another one. So now it's all the raw materials that go into that building that same one. So
Yeah.
yeah, recovering is a
Much more
much more
sustainable.
sustainable way to go. Hmm.
Well, so talk to me a little more about what you guys are doing to build on those and to work with those, work within those parameters there. Um,
Hmm. Well, I think, okay, so on the safety ones, the two-pronged safety kind of component of it, I think that our cleanability, what we've really tried to do in the last, and it actually, we started to do it before the pandemic, and then the pandemic kind of accelerated our look at everything, is make the touch points more cleanable, more durable. So we incorporate almost, a solid surface is just an incredible material, and for durability, for cleanability, because you can use harsh chemicals on it and it's going to be fine. If it gets scratched, hopefully it's going to be able to be buffed out and fixed and make it look better. But so we've incorporated a lot of solid surface into arm caps, tabletops, tablets, the actual tablet itself. So again, just for the disinfecting, it's not gonna, it's not like wood, or it's gonna hold up to that much better than a lot of other materials. And then also where the cleaning people, and it's interesting because the cleaning protocols have come more from healthcare. I think we think of the harsh chemicals, but now the pandemic has changed that. So now a healthcare, kind of what's known for healthcare is now stretching, I think, across all the vertical markets, because people are saying, what are you doing, organization, facility people, to keep me safe, because somebody just sat down and are you wiping these down? So it's not necessarily just a healthcare thing anymore. I think it spans all those. So we have a lot of series with clean outs, which is that gap between the seat and the back, so things will fall down or they can be wiped. But we've incorporated into a much more cleanable and accessible unit where all sides of the seat are now accessible. So we call it an all sides clean out. So all four sides are exposed, not up against the arm frame, not up against the back. So it's very easy to
it's
clean
like an
and things like
island,
that.
right?
So
The seat
that's
becomes an
right.
island.
Yeah, yeah. We do
Perfect.
use island seat because we have a coastal collection. It was like, and the Tide series went right with that.
Perfect. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
cannot take credit for that, because it wasn't my idea. It was a coworker of mine, and I'm like, that's brilliant, the island seat.
Spot on.
uh,
Perfect.
it
Perfect.
was
Okay.
spot on.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So and that's kind of on the hygiene side of things, right?
Yep.
Obviously, then structurally, when you were talking about the durability or the strength of the product, what
Yeah.
what are we doing to address that?
Yeah, well, that was like I said, even with longevity, the strength of the product. I mean, we've always made an incredibly strong product. Now, there's a capacity which is a static load capacity, and that's what most manufacturers will talk about. And that's what you're going to get asked for that mostly by designers and specifiers. They'll say, what's the chair capacity or what's the seat capacity? Then there's a dynamic load. So that's called static load. And then there's a dynamic load or drop test. So those are kind of interchangeable. We have always felt for the almost 40 years in business that the drop test or dynamic load is way more important number than what the static load is. So the difference between those is you set the weight, you just set it in there. You don't drop it. You just set it in there and it holds X amount of pounds. And then, so we do a 2,000-pound static load because what we've always done is first the drop test, we drop test it to 1,000 pounds. Now the physics in that is a 350-pound bag of metal shot, so pieces of metal. It's raised 20 inches in the air. Brad cuts the rope when we do the testing in the factory. Oh my God, that's funny. That is funny. I've heard that more than a few times. I want that job.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he cuts the rope and it plops into the seat. Basically, it falls and drops into the seat. So I've had people say, Chandra, I don't understand why you guys do a 1,000-pound drop test. The 1,000-pound person is not walking around. So I'm like, well, it's not a 1,000-pound person. It is the 200-pound to 400-pound, whatever their weight is, and they plop into that chair. And it's not the first time that happens. It's going to be. I mean, we're looking for that durability. We're looking for that strength of product that's going to be there and not be compromised over the 1,000-pound, or excuse me, the 1,000th time someone sits in that chair. So it takes the risk factor out of it. For risk management, I mean, anybody can sit in that chair and it's going to hold them. So it's a really great. I think, like I said, you're averting the risk factor for any of your chairs. So that's what we do for the strength of the product. And I think that the other thing I'm going to go back to like the safety of the product, because separation was another thing that people kept mentioning. And so we have we have a wellness divider, and that's a freestanding wellness divider. It's light enough to easily move around. It looks good, but it'll stay in place. And then, so that puts a nice separation in between seated guests. So it's, it can be permanent, but it can be moved if somebody wanted to say, well, we have 3 people sitting here together, so then they can move it around to the other side. So it's flexible, but you could put it in between the seats and keep it there. And then also we're doing some divider panels on our high back coffee house collection. So they're nice looking. They just give a nice separation. So a little bit more privacy, and then the division between users. So that's kind of things we're doing to address separation that look good and don't cost a fortune and
sure
and
are sustainable in their own right. Because let's face it, I mean, hopefully when the pandemic is over and we can get rid of dividers and the barriers, the masks and everything like that, when it's safe to do so, what's going to happen? This product is, going to theoretically end up in a landfill. Well, in the case of what it sounds like you guys are designing for, it's going to maintain privacy, which has always been a key ingredient in any environment, as well as it could be repurposed, right? So those divider panels and screens could become wayward signage or some type of a
the wellness divider for sure. That's what I was thinking. I mean, it's an easy tongue and groove kind of where the material, divider material goes into the frame. And that could become a sign. So I would hope that we would repurpose it and use it, for other things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to look at it too. So designing with repurposing in mind so that it's not going to get trashed or thrown away or just have a short life cycle is
right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What about so then going to longevity, obviously, continuing with that.
Yeah.
With that train of thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously the strength of the product, it's made to be there a long time. So that's gonna help again, and that just leads directly to the sustainability of the product. And then the other factor is that we've designed into everything that we build, and the drop test is the dynamic load is the same through all of our seating. All of our chairs have that same 1,000-pound dynamic load. But so it's not you have to pick, oh, which ones have it, which ones don't. All of them have it. And there's varying widths. And so that's where the flexibility, I think, comes in too. There's varying widths. So you put in a couple wider sizes if that's the demographic and you know that it's going to hold the people. But component-based design has been, and construction has been, a theme for our entire 40 years of business. So that means, you know, if our stuff is strong, but it's not unbreakable. If somebody breaks something or something happens in the field, I mean, we have reps that are like, this stuff is indestructible. And I'm like, well, it's really not. If somebody wants to break it, it's made very well. But if somebody's going to break it, they're going to find a way. Exactly. So with the component replaceability, again, that just is so much more sustainable, because now even down to a glide can be replaced. A glide, an arm cap. And arm caps are usually, you know, they take a lot of wear and tear, and again, the harsher chemicals, or if it gets chipped or something, if the chair, you know, I don't know, fell over and it got chipped, we can just replace an arm cap. So, you know, before even doing the whole arm frame. So it really is a great way to build furniture, and that's every single thing we make. There's two table lines that aren't made to come apart, but every seating line is made to come apart, and most of the table lines. So again, just so much more sustainable and cost effective for the facility.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. If they can just recover it or, you know, switch it out and only replace a component of that versus the entire chair.
Yeah, I mean, I have one behind me here if you want me to do a little. Just to kind of show people. Yeah. It'll break this up a little bit, so they're not just seeing our faces the whole time. Good so yeah, this one, I took the bolts out of this one for a little demo, but so this chair, it's 2 bolts that would keep the back on. So again, as like you were saying, just for recovering, so much easier for the reupholstery person. And we can do the cut and sewn covers, send the covers made, the new one, and then a reupholstery person would put it on. But it's much easier to do that when you're just working with a seat, a back, and arm, one component at a time. It's much easier. So then the seat, same concept. There's 1 bolt in the back that goes through the tubing, and then 1 bolt in the back that goes through the tubing, and then 2 bolts in the front of the seat. So, and we can use tamper-resistant fasteners, so, you know, people can't just get it on with, you know, usually it's a 1/2-inch socket wrench, and you can get the bolts out very easily. But anyway, we can use tamper-resistant fasteners if there's an area that they didn't want, you know, people to be able to do that. You have to have a special tool. So I'll put this back together. But this is the theme of all the furniture that we make. It comes apart so easily, you know, replaceable, field replaceable components and things. So,
very nice, very
nice. So yes, little intermission.
Little intermission. Yeah, we'll lace some music in there and watch it take back together.
Some circus music as I'm doing my chair.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, cool. And then, so that kind of 4th component that you were talking about is the flexibility, right? So can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, again, I think that's going to vary. It's going to be hard for me to kind of pinpoint. I mean, I can tell you what we do that I think makes our furniture a little more flexible, but it's going to vary facility to facility, what their needs are and how they, you know, if it's patient oriented. You know, there was one of the panelists that was saying, and it made so much sense, like she deals with cancer patients. It's a cancer center, and they have lost control over their healthcare, right? Their own well-being, because this, you know, the cancer is inside them, and so they want to give them control over their space. And so being able to move furniture and to sit where they want to sit, again, if they want to be alone one point of the day, and or then around people the next part of the day, they can do that. And so that kind of, you know, that's going to be a design. But the furniture. And another panelist said something really interesting that I hadn't really thought about. He said, you know, furniture is still one of the only things we touch. We touch in a building. Everything's so automated now. The doors open when you walk towards them, and the water goes on. I mean, these are probably a little newer facilities, but even doors open, especially in the main entrances, you know. So we don't touch a lot of things anymore, and we're trying to make everything touchless now, especially since the pandemic. So furniture is one thing that we still touch, and that's why the cleanability is very important. But I just thought that was a really interesting concept. So the movability, putting it on glides or casters, you just want to be careful that the chair is heavy enough so it won't shift away when somebody's trying to get in or out of it, just for a safety reason. That's why glides that move might be a little bit better. Reconfigurable, things that are, we had a picture of before the pandemic of two of our high back coffee units that were in kind of a collaboration area. Well, it's two things underneath, two plates underneath that hold them together. They can be unbolted, and now those 4 units can be turned into privacy stations with no extra parts. And I thought, wow, that is really flexible with no extra parts needed. So now they become privacy stations and really give you a nice division between people. And those kinds of things, I think designing that in on the front side, of product design is going to be important. And how can we make this more flexible? So we're definitely looking at that. And then even, being able to slide over an ottoman so you can put your feet up and we don't make recliners. There's companies that make recliners, so that's going to be nice. You can either sit up but where it's not appropriate to have recliners, maybe you just have an ottoman that can either stow underneath or just be slid over. So now you can be a little more comfortable, and this isn't just healthcare, it's any area. Anyway, and then I think tablets, giving somebody a work platform. If they want to just put their Kindle on there and read it, or their iPad or whatever it is, or just, again, with a cup holder, you can put your coffee or your beverage in there. Just gives them flexibility to sit and work or study or read or lounge or however they want to do it. So I think,
Right.
We've done a good job of that, and we'll continue to look at more things to make it more flexible and for the facilities.
Well, and I have to admit, Integra specific, and again, going back to the durability of the product, I have been saying that that it becomes cook proof, in the fact that even those tablet arms, they're 300-pound rated, right? So I mean, they're not going to break. It's not going to fall apart, because the worst thing you could do is put something in and then it actually fails in the field, and potentially people.
Yeah, now you're trying to.
Like that. So.
Yeah, or you're fixing things, or they're
you're
just not usable for.
Right.
Yeah. No. True. Yeah.
So
No, that's a good
that's
point.
really nice.
Very good point. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of things that become unusable with cleaning and whatnot, as you were saying earlier, the chemicals are getting more and more harsh, and it's becoming more difficult to maintain fabric, or which ones to use, right? Knowing which ones to use. So what is Integra doing to address that challenge?
Well, the cleanability for, like I said, around like the seats and the solid surface arm caps. The solid surface arm caps are going to give you that durability in those touch points. So for those harsher chemicals. So I'm a big proponent of that and of using those. And we try to do it very cost effectively, so it doesn't completely, skyrocket the price of the product.
Yeah.
And then, I think that, one big issue is the fabrics. And we don't make fabric. We'll put on pretty much whatever. We work with, 11, 12 distributors, and we'll grade those in. So we try to be very flexible what fabrics we want to work with, whatever the client wants to work with. But we don't know how they're going to hold up out there. So it's a challenge in our industry, and I think it's one of the biggest ones, especially as more facilities across vertical markets start using these harsher chemicals, or even just start cleaning them more in general, and using the harsh chemicals. And usually it's okay if they're rinsed off, right? Like the bleach cleanable, it should be diluted 10-1, 5-1, whatever it is, and then it still should be rinsed off, and that's not happening. Yeah, just a wet rag to get most of the harshness off of there. But that's not happening in a lot of facilities, and so that's an opportunity for change, I think. And we need to find just better solutions to some of the fabrics out there, because they're harsh chemicals. It's not really the fabric company's fault per se, because these are harsh chemicals that are supposed to kill things, and it's either deteriorating the fabric way more quickly than what the lifetime expectancy should be, or it's just completely disintegrating after a short amount of time. So, the only thing I guess I can say on that is an opportunity for our whole industry. I think that needs to happen, is that the textiles we really have to find out, better textiles to put on that'll take these cleaners and things. But the component of that is nice about, how we build our furniture is that we can just pop that seat off. If it's the seat that's getting wiped down continuously and now the fabric's disintegrating, we can send a new cover for that, and the foam should be fine, and the framework's fine, and lifetime warranty on that. But
And let's face it, I mean, how many times are we seeing that where the seat will be, it's shredded after, a couple of years, and maybe that's kind of the mentality is that the life cycle is going to have to be a shorter life cycle to maintain the cleanability and safety factor. Which
right,
really
and just know that they'll have to recover in 2 years or something, or whatever the time frame is. I'm making that up, but
sure.
Unfortunately, it's an issue that I don't know. There's some great it's called the the Task Force for Durable Coated Fabrics. I would recommend. I think that's the Durable Coated Fabrics Task Group. I don't know, but it's a great group of mostly facility interior designers. So they work actually and it's mostly healthcare, because they've, I think, over the time have had the biggest problem with it. So, but it's a great group. I would recommend anybody, Googling that to find out more about that, because they're doing some great, and actually, OSU, Ohio State, is doing some great work with helping to test all these fabrics. What chemicals are being used? How did these react? From everything from the silicones to the coated fabrics that are polyurethane, to the PVC vinyl, the actual vinyls, to the wovens. And so they're doing a lot of testing. And I think I'm like, kudos to that group for getting this going, because it's necessary and needed. So thank you. Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. And so, because they're using, their testing and lab facilities to do this testing. So it's really quite nice. Anyway, so thank you, shout out to them.
Well, cool. Well, as we kind of wrap things up here, I also kind of wanted to ask you about NeoCon. I know we got a curveball that at least we're going to have a NeoCon. It's going to be in October, right? So that's cool. Yeah. Anything new or exciting coming out? I'm sure there's.
Well, I'm like, it's just going to be weird to be in Chicago for NeoCon in October, but I'm excited too. I mean, I miss seeing people, most of us in this, especially on the sales side, but I think even designers and stuff, we're social people. We want to see people in person. So everybody's ready for that, I think. Now, I don't know. I'm going to put my rose-colored glasses on and see this I'm going to be very hopeful for a decent turnout. And I think that, just being able to get out and see product again, and and we'll have our newest products there, and I think everybody, all the manufacturers will. But I've talked to quite a few manufacturers, and we're all excited about it and ready to see people and show everybody what we have. So I hope there's a good turnout. I think by then people should be more comfortable traveling and getting out, and and they'll still have, believe me, NeoCon's going to have all the protocols that we have to follow, and they're going to do the CDC protocols and stuff. So it'll be safe, and I'm sure we'll still have to be masked up, but well, maybe not.
Yeah, but at least we'll be in person. Yeah, we'll get
at
to
least
see
we'll be in
everybody
person. I know.
Interact.
I know it. Good. Exactly. So I'm hopeful for that.
Well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and your insights and sharing this information with us. We'll be sure to put on the Integra website, integraseating.com, for anybody that has any additional questions or information. They are free to reach out to myself and you. We'll make sure your contact information is on there as well. But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
All right. That sounds good. Yeah. Thanks, Trevor. No, I appreciate it. And I want to just say thanks to the Tote Collaborative, because I think it's so cool that you guys did this, and something good can always come out of something bad, right? So this Tote Collab is really cool, and I give you guys kudos for getting it together. It's really great, good information, and I like your website and the whole concept of it. And I love the whole concept of the tote bag. I think that's so cute. It was very clever. So good job, you guys.
Tote bag. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks, Trevor. All right. Take care.